Jessica, with this first assignment, I've decided to make a video as I go over my comments to kind of clarify some of the points I'm making and turn it in. This is the Turn It In Studio view, and to access this, what you'll do is go back to the assignment and click on the Turn It In link. There, what will open up is the grade, and next to that is a little blue pencil icon. If you click on that pencil, it'll take you back to your submission and what is called the feedback studio, and turn it in. And it is important that you get back to this, because these grade marks, they call them, are actually, if you click on them, then they open up and they give an explanation of either the situation that's come up, say this kind of talking style in here, or something that needs to be added or revised, or in some cases, an explanation of the error that is involved here, like these comments down here. All right. So let me say a couple of things off the bat. As you use this template, and it's a good idea to use the template for the formatting, one last thing to do is where it says the last name up here, you click on that in the Word document and you replace the last name with your particular last name, so it looks more like that. Also include a title. Titles are really your first opportunity to get the reader on track, and so for all of the assignments, even these short assignments, be sure to include a title. And you want that title to link to the controlling idea. And in this one paragraph assignment, that controlling idea is really the first sentence. So I think in your first sentence, one of the things you might want to do in subsequent paragraphs is to identify in that particular case the controlling idea throughout. Now, this was the identity paragraph assignment, and you begin with my identity is, but part of what the assignment was getting at is the idea that all of our identities are made up of multiple identities that we take on at different times in our lives or different times of the day. I go home, my identity is very different than what my identity had been at work. And so in that regard, what the assignment was asking you to do is to identify these three specific identities. And obviously the first thing you're bringing up here is mother. And I think if you began by saying something like, the most important identity of all the ones that I adopt is my role as mother, then that is an invitation to go in and discuss that in more detail. All right. Now I mark here this talking style for this next sentence, and it's really that, and this is a speech pattern many of us have. I think I probably use the same thing as I'm introducing my children. My first son is Jalen, he is 12. My daughter Layla, she is 8. And so in the writing style of that, it would be something more like my 5 children, Jalen, 12, Layla, 8, that kind of way. I appreciate the idea of including Brendan as one of your children, even though it's a pregnancy, you lost early in the pregnancy. I think that speaks a lot to how important your children are to you, and how real Brendan is as real to you as your other 4 children. After that, you pivot to your educational experience, not finishing high school, coming to RCC for your GED, and all of that's interesting part of this. My question in the margin, what does this experience tell about your identity? Sometimes maybe what this tells us about you is, one thing you are is, one thing you're not is a quitter. I mean, you're someone who continued to successfully got her GED and then the CNA certificate. So, that would be one way to frame this as well. This is what it tells about you. And so in all the writing assignments as we go forward, you want to be developing paragraphs this way. Here's this kind of general idea, or this general statement, and now the details are going to prove it. And so in the next assignment, and in the subsequent assignments, as you move through a paragraph, you're going to have different levels of ideas. One is, here's the concept I want to talk about. Here are the details or the examples that help make that real to the reader. And in this particular case, it would go something like, all my life I've been someone who's not quit in the face of adversity. All right, that's an identity. You could then talk about going back to school, getting your GED, continuing getting your CNA, that sort of thing. Now let me talk about the sentence boundary errors that you see in these other three marks. And these basically what this is what's going on where two sentences come together. Now, I have 5 children. Grammatically, that's a sentence. My first son, Jalen, is 12. Grammatically, that's another sentence. So the idea of sentence boundaries is at this point, either a period has to separate these or some type of connective word or punctuation or both have to connect them. And that's, to be honest, the way to get at those particular errors in this class is going to be primarily through the inquisitive exercises. Now, I see you haven't registered an access code for inquisitive yet. Those are assignments that, there is no real firm deadline on those. You can finish those later in the semester, but I think right now it's important that you register your inquisitive code and catch up on those because they do represent a significant part of the grade in the class, about 5-10% for the inquisitive, and the other two components of that Norton resource, the tutorials and the plagiarism tutorial, about an equal amount. So together that's about 15% of your final grade. So if you're having an issue registering that access code or getting the access code, let me know. I'll help you as much as I can. So down to this next sentence, I attended Leaksville Spray Elementary School, went to Holmes Middle School. Here, this is really items I think could be separated by commas. So you went to elementary school, comma, went to Holmes Middle School, comma, and on to Moorhead. Those are 3 things in a series. I didn't quite make it through high school. That's a new sentence. And so really after Moorhead High School, a period should separate that sentence from the next one. After I graduated, I continued there to obtain my certified nursing assistant certification. There's another sentence. So a period should probably separate that from I applied for a job at Walnut Cove Health. Now, some of the other things, and you'll see that those kinds of errors persist, and those sentence boundary errors, and they include the comma splice error, the fused sentence or run-on error. That's what they are identified as in inquisitive. You go forward in your education, those are certainly the kinds of errors you want to get on top of and find in your own writing and learn how to avoid. And again, in a short online course like ours, that's the reason we have students use inquisitive as the instruction part of that. Inquisitive really is very good. I saw that you had taken the DRE class, and we probably have a different platform for grammar exercises when you took it some years ago. But inquisitive really works at your own pace, and it is a great way to teach yourself these concepts, and that really is the best way to learn them. Grammar and mechanics is a very difficult thing to teach students. It's very much better if they kind of internalize it themselves. I think the third part of the identity then would be this idea of becoming a nurse. Or maybe that identity is, a nursing student, something like that. Something that's more aspirational, and that would certainly be the case. Well, I want to stop there. I don't want to overload you too much with this, but I do want to emphasize the importance of inquisitive, I think, in addressing these issues with the comma splice, the run-on kind of errors, where the two sentences come together, and also the importance of really studying the assignment. Part of what I include in each module is not just an explanation of an assignment, but an example. And so the examples are not intended just simply that you do the assignment the way I want you to. That's not quite what I'm after. In each one of these early assignments, we are trying to develop a skill that you repeat over and over and over again in this class and in the next class, should you take English 112. All right. If you have any questions about this, let me know. And if you would do me the favor of sending me an email after you've received it and watched it, that you are able to access my feedback. That's the most important thing, that you understand what I'm getting at, and whether you have any questions. All right, thank you.